What makes a starter ship? Who determines what a Star Citizen player needs to get started out? Today we're going to take a look at the new divisive Crusader Intrepid and determine if it's a good ship for new players, but we're also going to explore the definition of a starter ship, what they can provide for new and veteran players, and what I think is most important to look out for. Because we can talk all about whether a ship is overpriced or not, at the end of the day their value comes down to their actual capabilities as a ship, and whether you like it or not, the vibes they deliver to those using them. And while we're here, if you're new to the game and want to make an account to come back to later, you can use the Join Tomato link down in the video description to get a possible free vehicle and extra credits when you do decide to start. There will be a free play period over the next 10 or so days, so now's as good a chance to try out as any. Anyways, thank you for coming to my Tomato Talk. The Intrepid is not your standard ship, but it also kinda is. As far as Star Citizen's small ship design goes, this thing is standard to the T. Cockpit, standard setup, MFDs, habitation, single suit locker, weapon rack, utility slots, ammo space, a chair, a table, a place to prepare and keep some food, an all-in-one bathroom included with a toilet, shower, and sink all together, and a nice mirror. We look pretty. In the back, some cargo space, components for engineering, and a kiosk for management of your systems. While that last one is a little bit newer, it doesn't get more standardized than all this for a starter class ship. So why so divisive? The exterior is an acquired taste, one that focuses maybe a bit too much on asymmetry for the sake of it. While each and every one of Star Citizen ships have thruster symmetry no matter what, some exude the illusion of asymmetry by featuring slightly different features on either side, though the cockpit is still usually in the middle. Take the Ares from Crusader as well. Basically a symmetrical ship, and the cockpit is even in the middle, but the gigantic weapons platform the ship was built around shows a clear focus for the ship. You would think then that the Intrepid, which was built similarly, would be the same way, but it's not. Not only is the cockpit not centered, the ship isn't built around its gun. With an initial hubbub at its size 3 offering, which was quickly rectified to size 4, it's not exactly primed for combat, especially given the ship's rather paltry offering of protection from its shields. Note, this ship is a home, and we'll go over that later. It's a standard ship with a non-standard construction, and if you can look past or even enjoy its appearance, I think you'll find quite a bit to enjoy here. Just wish maybe they could move the cockpit and the gun closer together. Outside of its fairly standard kit, its 8 SCU of storage, and its unusual shape, the ship has some unique advantages that may not be as obviously felt right now. VTOL thrusters will help this ship hover and fly slowly once control surfaces are implemented. While that might not mean much now, trust me, just like with cargo and with engineering before it, control surfaces will be a reckoning for some folks in the ships that they own. The stairway entry is also a nice touch of luxury, only found in one other Origin ship. It means no animations for getting in and out, and an easier time carrying things on board the ship, something I can't say the same for in the 300 series. Having a cargo storage area that doubles as its own airlock can also be useful. It's always nice to have extra levels of security and redundancy when vacuum is involved. This could mean less vented rooms when bringing things like salvage and loot back on board, or getting cargo off your ship for somebody else to take away. Having all those components in there also means easy ventilation when fires are involved. It's also nice to have an engineering terminal here. It'll be the first ship of its size to have one, and should offer a good jumping off point for those who want to do this as their main game loop. Engineering as a whole is a career path you can do to make some money, so it's a good place to be able to start. And it's worth noting that while the Q&A for the ship says the Intrepid can't carry vehicles, the Pulse hover bike does fit. We confirmed this on my stream. It currently just doesn't abide by the physics, so I do think that once that glitch is figured out, you should be able to at least carry a hover bike with you, if not drive it in through the main entrance. Now, all of these different features and the addition of a suit locker makes for a pretty unique offering at its size that unfortunately doesn't show all of its benefits until maybe later in the game when some other things are coming online. It's a similar case to the Terrapin, and while other ships offer something similar in this size range, there is no denying this is a unique little ship. maybe just bump the shield size up one. This ship has enough going for it to be a pretty solid long-range home for new players. I think the starter or small ship range is filled with a good amount of choice that you can find enough of this offering in another package if you really want, but I think that kind of redundancy is important with small and medium ships. Being able to choose this ship because of the aesthetics, brand loyalty, or one small unique feature over another is your choice. And considering the gameplay you want to pursue in the future of this game, this ship may actually be near perfect for you. It's not going to beat the Avenger Titan as the go-to starter-focused ship, and thank God it's not. If every new starter ship just tried to beat the Avenger Titan, we'd be dealing with more power creep problems than we already are. With starter ships, there shouldn't be a target that the game's developers are aiming for with each starter ship. There should just be a list of possible gameplay that they check off to make sure it abides by that. Give it a couple extra unique things here or there that set it apart, and have it on its way, balance it as we go, but don't make everything try to be the best of all things altogether like the Avenger Titan. Variety in this area, in my opinion, is a good thing. But you may be wondering, variety in what categories? What are all these areas that a starter ship should be ticking off? This is a good chance to discuss what a starter ship actually is and what good qualities you might want to look out for while choosing one. So what makes a good starter ship? Well, look at the undisputed best in the community, the Avenger Titan. It's a well-priced package with space for cargo, sleeping, some combat, 2 entrances to get on board, internal access components, and a not too shabby design. Which one of these things gets at that top spot? It's a combination of many things that determines a pretty good starter ship. The starter should be a small package that allows you to try any of the basic elements in the game without taking you down the road of specialization. So while ships like the 125A, Anvil Arrow, or even the CO Nomad make for reasonable ships to start out in, they do still specialize in one area and thus ask for a higher price just for that specialization. And you'll notice we generally haven't talked about price this entire video. The ship lands at $65 standalone, about $5 more than the Avenger Titan and the 135C, which are 2 of my other go-tos and have unique offerings of their own. But I think it's good to derive the value of a ship from your own acknowledgement of its worth and the features it has, not entirely by how it compares in price to others. Because while the Intrepid has VTOL thrusters, the 135C has an onboard refinery, and the Avenger Titan has hard-hitting weaponry, they all hit the same basic functionalities, while offering something that makes them a worthwhile choice against one another, in my own opinion. Though I do think the 135C falls a bit short in the race overall with the others, and the Intrepid falls short of the Titan, on paper at least, which is offered at a lower price. But I think a part of what we miss as a bunch of space nerds watching this game be made in real time in front of us is how the average player 3 to 6 years from now is going to be coming across these options of which ship to start with. If they aren't going and finding guides on YouTube about which ship gives them the best DPS or which one is the best for the cargo hauling missions, it's gonna end up being a combination of factors that include the way it looks and the feeling you get of being inside of them. If CIG is smart, they're gonna have a downloadable hangar demo where you can walk around and see these starter ships from the inside and out, but that's a whole different video. Regardless, people are going to pick these ships based on things that don't necessarily fit on a page. And while I think the cost is definitely something to consider and something that'll make a difference, even in real-world dollars, I do think each ship is worth considering in a vacuum. Does it complete the goals needed for a starter ship? And considering that standard, a small home on the go that offers you everything you need to try out the game in various different ways, the Intrepid actually does a pretty good job. You have storage space for items, weapons, ammo, and armor, so you could do some mining, repair, salvage, or shooting and looting while using your Intrepid as a space of storage and safekeeping. You'll be able to easily change out your tools as needed while keeping them separate from your cargo. Ships like the Mustang, Aurora, and 100i won't support this without a weapon rack. In fact, the Aurora and Mustang can't even access their cargo from inside the ship. But those represent the older starter-focused ships, along with the Reliant series. These ships were built like a home on the go, but for a different game. A bed, some cargo space, and a cockpit. That's what you get with those ships. Looking at other ships like the Avenger Titan, the Drake Cutter, and now the Crusader Intrepid, obviously they represent a different class of starters, but I do hope CIG continues to find ways for the older ships to retain value. Something that they'll never catch up on though is the ship interior. This is actually a pretty valuable part of these ships. One of the best parts of Star Citizen in general, ship interiors create a sense of space, comfort, and belonging on your ship. Being stuck in the same seat or room for the entirety of your trip is just not fun, even if that room is an extended hallway. Being able to fly from one star system to another over the course of hours or log on and off from your ship, living off the grid, looting your supplies, and earning a pay is still not something we really do in the game currently. But by the time that becomes the regular way to play, and it will at some point, a ship that can offer multiple rooms to spend that time in and decorate, as well as space for your various systems to breathe, will start to feel more homey than you think. That's why the Cutter represents such great value if you are considering the pricing of these ships in dollars. And keeping these small size ships keeps your signature down, doesn't attract attention. It calls for less taxes and fees when renting hangars and stopping at outposts, and it costs less in maintenance and gas. Ultimately, a ship of this size is a good idea for any player to have, new or old. Not to mention, don't you want a kitchen so you don't have to constantly drink cruise for energy? Star Citizen is a game filled with ships, and at almost every level there are specialized ships, and there are all-rounder ships. Starters should be all-rounders. You have your professional starters like the Prospector 315P, Anvil Arrow, or Hull A. But all-rounders have the important job of being diverse to the point of finding different lovers and haters, while also providing similar amenities and offerings to its users. I think the Intrepid does a good job of fitting into the lineup, not as a standout in any one category, but as a decent choice for players looking at all of them. And I think CIG is doing a good job of fleshing out this range. That doesn't mean every ship makes sense when viewed on a dollars versus any number of things metric, but as far as the game is concerned and players' abilities to experience the game in different ways based on their own subjective interests, the Intrepid does a good job in my opinion. The two things I think they really need to focus on now is giving all of the starter ships a focused gold standard pass sometime soon, and making sure that in doing so, the older ones and the smaller ones are still made relevant and useful. Thanks for checking out this review. From here, I'll be making more ship videos about the releases that I like if you enjoyed this. Please let me know down in the comments what you think. I usually focus on features, but ship reviews and showcases could be fun. If you're still watching and it's your first time, as I said in the beginning, you can make an account for this game for free. Try it out until the end of November and get additional credits to your account or maybe even a free vehicle if you do ever choose to buy it in the future. Just use the Join Tomato link in the video description down below. And if you enjoyed the content and want to see more, well, consider subscribing here. I post pretty regularly. I hope you learned something new in this video, and I'll catch you in the next.